Welcome to Everything Under the Moon.
With Mel and Stell.
Hey,
Hey, Mel.
how's it going?
It's going pretty good. Do you want to tell everybody, like, a little hint of some of the things that we've been up to lately?
Yeah, I'll say squatching. Lots
Absolutely.
and lots of squatching. We have spent 2 weekends in a row now at our super secret special location. And I think we're getting some great stuff. And I think one of our next episodes, we're going to focus on our Squatch investigation and some of the nearby sightings in our research area. And we're trying our hardest to vlog and like record video while we're out there, but it's really hard and also we don't know what to do with it quite yet. So
I
keep
think we're
that on
saving
board.
it. I think we're saving it for a compilation of sorts, to be honest. And I do think that some of it would probably just be released to our Patreon.
Yeah,
Like, for example, we have an hour or so of uncut footage of just us chilling at the campsite. And I think
exactly.
that could be something cool. Like, both of us are just sitting in the hammock and we're just recording us just hanging out and living the life. So,
I
things like that, I think some of it'll be exclusive to our Patreon supporters.
I am obsessed with time lapses and I don't know why. I think they're so cool. That's what I want to do with all of our videos. I just want to make them a time lapse. Maybe I will.
That is valid, and I think you should explore that.
Thanks. Well, what are we going to talk about tonight, Stell?
Well, we're just going to wrap up as best we can the topic of Rehmeyer's Hollow that we started a few weeks ago. And this time we had an interview with Dad. But this is just a few of our final thoughts and some stories about that place. And, we'll encourage you to check it out for yourself and see if you agree.
Absolutely. I want to say too that my dad lives in a different state than us. And so this was done over Discord, Messenger, or chat, or whatever the crap it is. And it's our very first time recording an interview. So there is some technological stuff going on, like some feedback and some weird noises. And I did the best I could to edit. Hope everyone's happy with it. So you'll have to excuse a little bumps along the road as we get the editing in the bag.
You work
So
really hard on the editing, and we appreciate that about you.
thanks. I try. I'm there on my lunch break, like with my headphones in. And with that, let's play the interview. How's it going, Dad?
Just busy.
Did you figure out your phone?
Yeah, it's not doing it now.
Okay, well,
But it's weird because, like, every time someone talks, this little blue light lights up.
that's what it's supposed to do, I think.
Oh,
My
okay.
Discord does that. This little green light lights up every time someone talks.
Either that or it's a screen memory and you're actually being abducted.
Right
Maybe.
now.
You're not going to get much, I can tell you that.
Well, they got one detail wrong, the color of the light. It was a dead giveaway.
Oh, because it's green?
It's
Or
blue
maybe
instead
Dad's
of green.
colorblind. Are you colorblind, Dad?
I hope not.
Well, you're not an electrician, so I think you're safe. All right. So what we're gonna try and do is talk to you. We're gonna introduce you
Okay.
and ask you what you know about Raymar's Hollow, and then we're just gonna talk about that. And you can like feel free to, bring up whatever you like to bring up or say whatever you like to say. We can cut anything out if you're like, oh, that sounded dumb and I hate it. Just tell us.
And
Oh, I don't care.
we might cut it out.
um,
I say a lot of dumb stuff.
fair.
Am I allowed to shoot squirrels while we're recording?
Do you have to?
If I see a squirrel in my yard, I have to.
All right, well, that'll be pretty
Couldn't you
Kentucky
like
of you.
hand
So,
grenade them or something?
we're
No.
in Kentucky. Like, I feel like people will be like, oh, fair. Gotta get them squirrels.
I need to feed my kids.
I'm sorry, that was a perfect Appalachia voice.
Hey, Dad.
Hey.
Hey, what's up?
Well, we're gonna God, I butchered that right away. Talk to us a little bit about pap and like his Pennsylvania Dutch culture sayings and stuff.
He used to always say, "You never turned off the light; you'd out in it."
You out in the light?
That's what he used to say.
Oh.
Out in the light, he would say, instead of water, it was worder.
Hmm.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
then like best was my mama because she used to say, instead of tired, it was tard.
I'm real toward.
So we'd sit there. Yeah, I'd sit there and say, yeah, yeah. I think, my sister was like, yeah, I think she's tired, mama. Is she tired? And then you laugh.
How did they pronounce that liquid that you put into your vehicle and change it every 4,000 miles?
Oh, you're making fun of the way I say, oh.
I'm
He
just
knew.
checking. I no, I just didn't want to say it first so that I didn't want to give like any kind of
Or radiator.
influence to it.
I still
Radiator.
turn heads with radiator because people aren't
Radiator.
expecting that. Yeah, it's all, just hangovers from speaking half German. A lot like out in the German verb for put out is like uh, tauten or something or like often. Like it translates directly. It's crazy. So what else, Dad?
Yeah,
Keep
sometimes
talking.
sometimes you have to say stuff 2 or 3 times so you can understand it.
Mm. Yeah, in the book, Hexy like writes phonetically, and sometimes it's really hard to
Can
imagine.
can I tell a completely unrelated story really quick?
Go for it.
Shoot.
Uh, down, my parents live on 60, and you go down far enough, you'll reach this place called D Hart's Bible and Tire. That it just made me think of, I don't know, it just seemed relevant and completely
Wait, that's
irrelevant.
it? I
That's
thought this
it.
was gonna be a story about them and their
D
tire
Hart's
shop.
Bible and Tire. They were featured on Jay Leno one time.
Were they?
Yeah, they were like D Hart's Bible and Tire was mentioned on an episode.
Should we do an
Huh.
episode about them? Maybe.
I think that's all there is to it. That's the end of, I think I just covered all the material.
Well, Dad, what do you know about the creepiness in Raymar's Hollow?
I remember going to school all the time, especially when you get your license. The deal was if you went to, the holler, turn your headlights off, drive around for a little bit, you turn them back on. Supposedly, all the street signs would change on the roads,
Ooh.
so you get lost. I never did it, but it was always creepy because you go, as a little kid, my friend, I go trout fishing down there with my friend's dad. And of course, he wanted to get up there like the butt crack of dawn. So he's sitting by this little creek, and everything's pitch black, and it's just crazy.
It is
A couple
really.
times I almost peed my pants.
Like what?
Well, you're sitting there, and you hear something fall in the water. So there I am, like 10 or 11, and my best friend's, well, one of my friend's dad, he was drunk by then. So he's passed out.
Oh my God. This is gonna be amazing.
Just as a reminder to all of our listeners out there, we're talking about Raymeyer's Hollow in rural Pennsylvania, where old man Rehmeyer was murdered in cold blood on Thanksgiving night in 1928.
Rural.
Rural. Was there a problem?
That's one of the words I like to make fun of you for. That's it. That's the only word I can make fun of you for.
You can make fun of me for whatever you want, Mel.
Oh, thanks, Del.
And just kill him with kindness.
Feel free to just jump in, Dad. We're just monologuing.
Well, another funny story about that guy, we'd go spotting for deer,
Yeah.
and he would get that drunk. We would have to drive home like 12 years old, like on the
real
dirt
funny.
roads.
Driving drunk at 12 years old?
No, his dad was drunk.
Oh.
So we'd be spotting, I don't know if, I don't
You
think
go
you can
spotting?
spot out here.
It's
Spotting
illegal.
for deer.
Spotting for deer is illegal,
Here it is, yeah.
but you don't shoot at them.
Yeah, you can't even have the spotlight.
That's so effed. I
Huh.
love that. I'm sad.
But it was great.
I'm
I mean, he
confused
get that.
how you feel about it.
What,
Why?
spotting for deer?
Yeah, are you saying I couldn't tell if you're
We
saying
did it
it's
all the
good or
time
it's
growing
bad.
up.
Okay, so
Yeah,
you're
like I don't
I
see any
just couldn't
problem with it.
tell.
I'm perplexed. I look this way because I'm trying to imagine why it's illegal. Are people
Well,
more
I
prone to
think because
poaching?
people are too much of bastards to be trusted.
Yeah.
I think I think in Pennsylvania is like one of the only states it's legal anymore.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Honestly, I don't think it's legal where I live now.
That's so weird. We did it all the time as a kid. Anyway,
It's it's a good time.
it is a
I
good
never
time.
got drunk though, so that's a bonus.
It is a bonus. Father of the Year award.
In my experience, having a deer spotlight on top of your truck is something that is probably going to get left alone unless you're in some situation where the cops are irritated at you for whatever reason, and then they can decide to care about it, and it's some
Oh,
kind
you
of
want another
fine.
funny story about spotlights?
Sure.
Yes.
There used to be a spot on the dirt roads where people used to park. You know what happens when you park, right?
Yeah, Dad, we're both married women.
I know. So
We're
Oh,
worldly.
park. You're talking about necking.
yeah, well, we would take our
Making
vehicles
whoopee.
and like come from both ends, and me and my friends, and we shine a spotlight on them and pretend we're the cops.
Nice. Oh, you little hood rats.
Good times.
Snap.
Well, I used to work for a gentleman, and they were snowmobiling in the holler, and they said they stopped. I can't remember what happened. They were adjusting something on one of the snowmobiles, and I guess it was like a whole group of them. So then one of the people, it was getting like dusk, and they saw these red eyes. So they all panicked. They jumped on a snowmobile and the snowmobiles and started hauling butt out of there. And I guess the guy on the end of the line was the guy I worked for. So he turned around and he said he saw this big black dog with red eyes chasing him. He said it took us like a swat at the snowmobile. And he didn't feel nothing, so I guess they just kept booking it back to their farm.
Yeah.
You know, he's telling me this story, and I was probably only 16 or 17, and I called bullshit.
Yeah.
So then he took me out and showed me the snowmobile, and on the back of it was an old Yamaha. It had like the big seat, this whole seat cover wrapped around the back of the seat.
Know
There was like
exactly what you mean.
there was like three big slashes on the back of that seat cover, and he swears up and down that they came from that dog.
Oh. Oh, I
So
love that story.
It sounds to me like a Mothman encounter.
You think that
I
was
don't
the
know. I
Mothman
mean, and
Yeah,
he
I
wasn't.
think it sounds like it, and I
in
mean
Raymeyer's Hollow?
it would make sense. Yeah, I mean it would kind of make sense if it's part of this Bermuda Triangle, you know,
I think it was
of
a hellhound.
paranormal. You know, you think it was a
I think it
hellhound?
was a hellhound. For sure. For sure, for sure.
What's a hellhound?
Well, I mean, a hellhound, in my knowledge, now I'm afraid I'm gonna get it wrong, is just a black dog from hell. I mean, they just tend to be like bad spirits. They're urban legend
I
type
guess what I mean
things.
is like demon, alien, ghost. You know,
Demon. Okay, so in my view of the world, anything on that side of the veil, I don't judge them by like what they are. So I just think it's
cool.
spiritual. You know what I mean? Like I don't try to like be like it's a demon because I think that's dumb. Because that's a Christian concept.
I
Where was
mean,
I going with this?
and the other story, like they said, is if you drive down, I think it's like real early in the morning, you drive by the house, and there's always a candle lit. You always see like candlelight in the windows.
Well, and they have like those little light up candles in the windows still today. It's kind of spooky.
We had a weird time when Mel took me down there. It was crazy. There's only like one road going around, but somehow we like went in a circle and like ended up where we started without ever actually having really made a loop.
Yeah.
And it's like there were turns somehow. It was crazy. And then when we it's like at every turn, something was trying to stop us from getting deeper in. Because then
Yeah.
Well,
once we finally decided like we're not going to be fooled, we went as far as we could, and then the bridge is under construction, so
Yeah.
then we couldn't go any further.
well, the fire company used to do haunted Halloween tours in Blymeyer's Hollow, but they never went into Raymeyer's Hollow.
Interesting. Too
Yeah, you
scary.
went on a ride. You don't remember?
Was that the one? The
And
horrible.
Blymeyer was the murdering rascal.
Yes. Was
Yeah,
this
because they
the?
converge. They used there used to be a parking lot down there where people would take their horse trailers to ride.
Yeah.
Could just be a bunch of horse trails through there. They like the hollows meet right there,
Yeah.
but they would never go in Raymeyer's Hollow. They always would go through Blymeyer's Hollow in the haunted hayride.
Was that the one that was like safety themed and it wasn't scary at all? I
Yeah, I
remember
mean,
I remember still feeling gypped about that, and I think I was like 5 when it happened. Do you remember that?
I can't I can't remember.
It
It's
was
been
like
so
a free
long.
hayride you took us on. I remember specifically you talking to us on the way in the car going, "This is free. We're just going to go to it for fun." And I don't know who these people are or what this ride is. Like you admitted that. Because
I
your
can't
mom
remember
wasn't
that
there.
one.
It was just you and me and Steph. And like they would like you'd ride through a dark cornfield and then they'd like shine a spotlight on two guys doing a survival scenario. Like one guy didn't have a life jacket on and it was like how to put a life jacket on someone floating in the water. Like it's not scary. I'm
I
still
think that was
upset.
the one.
Yeah, in Rain, like why would you have a haunted hollow? Why are you doing safety instructions?
Well, no one would probably ride through Raymeyer's Hollow.
That's what I'm saying. They didn't even question it. They're like, no.
Like you don't think anybody would go if it was held there?
I don't think so. I mean, it's
So everyone's
everyone.
afraid of it, huh?
No one. It's I know guys. That's like some of the best deer hunting, and that's it's I can't remember the name of the county park, but I know guys that went hunting there because of
Spring
that.
Valley. Spring
Spring
Valley
Valley.
Park. Yeah.
Yeah,
But they won't deer hunt there?
yeah, because they don't want to go in there when it's dark.
Oh, I love that. You know, I have always said, especially about Missing 411, but about other paranormal stuff too, that I will always trust hunters about what they see or feel in the forest. Because I just think like the type of people who are hunting are in the woods, in the dark, in the light, all hours of the day, a lot. And they tend to have valuable experience. I don't know. It also I'm just now realizing that I grew up around a bunch of old men who were also hunters, so maybe I'm just biased.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe not that you were old, but all your friends at the league were.
Yeah, I know.
Will you tell it? Will you tell the
Sure.
story of how
Okay,
I
yeah.
met your dad?
Okay, yeah. So we are going to do this ride on the Big Blue Peddler. We're all squeezed in my dad's Charger. I'm in the back with my mom, and I think Andy. No, Andy rode with his parents. Okay,
It's
sorry.
just us in the back.
Me and my mom. Stella's up front. Dad's driving, and two great things happened. First, Stella's kind of making fun of Dad about his car. She's like, "Oh, it doesn't really have any pickup. Oh, it seems a little weak." And so Dad turned around in the cul-de-sac and like hauled ass and burned out down the road. And Stella was like, "Oh!" Because right before he burned out, she was like, "Do you want to hear my impression of a charger doing a burnout?" It was perfect. It was the equivalent of Ricky being like, "Hey, Randy, where'd all this smoke come from?"
Smoke come from?
And then,
What smoke?
and then, yeah, and then the next day, I think Stell opened up like an energy drink in the back seat of the Charger, and my dad just looked at her, gave this deathly glare, and like she shrank, and he was like, "Did you just open a beer in my car?" And she's like, "It's an energy drink."
If looks could kill.
Oh my gosh, it was so
from
funny.
then on, I knew I'd had the full dad experience. So I've called you dad ever since.
Love it.
I don't like drinking and driving.
Well, I mean, no one does.
No one does. That is not
Agreed.
cool.
No one does.
Sometimes
Not
we
something
just
to
sit
laugh
around and
about.
talk about how mad that makes us that
Oh,
people
we
do
just
that.
talked about this half an
Exactly.
hour ago because
Mm-hmm.
someone made a comment to us and we were like, that's not cool.
It's not funny either. It's not funny to joke about.
No. I'm trying to think of any more like lore about Raymeyer's Hollow. Do you remember the time we went with aunt and uncle? I can't say their names, and that sounds so weird. But you know your sister?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know.
Uh, and we went at night, and looking back at it, I'm kind of appalled. But we drove the Jeep we were in, the Jeep Cherokee that I eventually owned for like years of my life. We drove it through the creek at Raymars Hollow. Like my uncle just like drove off the road, destroyed the creek to drive through it.
That's
But
the
that was a fun
best.
time, yeah, for us. And then my aunt was kind of into paranormal stuff, and we did some like ghost hunting. I remember we pulled up next to a pond or something, and there was like a turn or like a circle of gravel for you to pull around. And we were out by the shore taking pictures. And I remember we took pictures, and there was like a bunch of orbs or bugs in the picture, but we were really like excited and spooked out. But two black cars pulled us, like blocked us in, pulled up behind each side of our Jeep, and like these guys, like these cops in not in uniforms, just got out and were like, "What's your business here?" Huh? We thought we were about to be like murdered and thrown in the back of a van. And then they were like, oh, this is private property. We're state police. Like, where do you get
It's
off?
like, no, you're not.
I don't know. Maybe they were just men in black.
It doesn't sound like they were at all.
You're looking at me so spooky right
I'm
now.
so spooked right now. I'm like, thank God they let you keep your memories of the encounter.
Well, to be fair, I don't remember their faces at all. I do not have any other memories other than watching their cars pull up and block us in and then being terrified. And then I vaguely remember my aunt and uncle being like, okay, we'll be fine, we'll leave. And we just got in the car and kind of drove out.
You know, since we hit Ray Myers Hollow at the same time, the same trip that we went to Point Pleasant, West Virginia, like I wonder if it would be like if it would be possible to find out if there's like ley lines near those places.
Oh, I think that the Susquehanna has a bunch of huge ley lines. Have you heard that,
And
Dad?
then there's also like the Appalachian region in general too, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's probably why there's so many Indian things down there too.
Yeah, because that's how it's supposed to work, right? Like their ancient roads traveled. I'm not totally up on the ley line theory.
I'm not either, but it's just something interesting. And whenever I can bring in like something else like
Yeah,
that, it's like let's stack as many things
we
onto
should.
this
I
as we
want to do a
can.
whole episode about ley lines.
Yeah, I would really be interested in that too.
That sounds
Let's
awesome.
make a bookmark for that.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I've
Put a
always been
pin in that.
interested.
Exactly.
But then I also think we could talk about like ley lines, cave systems, missing 411,
Right.
UFO sightings, and like layer all those on top of each other and just see like if there's any super clusters. Like,
Yeah, like I would love to just do giant MASH episodes, like 3 hour long episodes. That'd be awesome. But I
Almost
have a
like a
good
potpourri
question.
show, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
potpourri.
Potpourri.
I love
Tune in
it.
to PBS. It's Friday. Um, Dad, I want to ask you a question.
Yes.
Do you think what do you think causes whatever is happening in Raymeyer's Hollow? Do you think it's because of Raymeyer or there's something else going on?
I just think it's because of Rehmeyer. I mean, there's no other, you know, reason for people to be afraid or, go down there. I mean, it's crying shame because they used to be a rifle range down there, and they had to shut it down because people were going down there and hanging out. Trying to drive around at night, and
Yeah.
I think that's why they redid all the roads down there too. Because there used to be a crap ton more roads down there.
I remember as a kid, it felt like like very vast. And when we went back, I was surprised that there was only one road. So I'm glad that you're telling me that they closed roads because I thought I was insane when we went to visit.
No, they closed a bunch of them down.
Yeah.
They tore a bunch of, I think, because there's only like 2 people to live down in there, and I
Well,
think they died or whatever. Because there used to be a huge house when you first went in there on the left,
yeah.
But that's gone now because you can't even get in that way anymore.
Yeah, that's what the road we were trying to find. So
Yeah, it's
maybe
not
it was
there.
just,
It's gone.
oh, okay. Well, that make up a little for it. The road was gone that we were trying to find.
Yeah. I was just, my mind was wandering away.
No, I
No,
think
I was so engrossed in what you guys were saying that
no,
I
I
actually
totally
got
just thought you were
lost.
pointing to something on the wall. I was like, is there a
This
cool
means
bug?
this means that my mind wandered. I did the little
Oh,
bunny.
you're
That's
good.
the bunny running away with my thoughts.
I love
It's
it.
what that represents. A little bunny running away.
uh, so do you think that Rehmeyer was just like such a dark witch that he opened some kind of like portal? I want to think that maybe the veil is just thin there.
And maybe both. Like maybe they called to each other. Like maybe that place called to him, and he called to that. He led himself to that place. Maybe
Yeah.
that's not a coincidence. It seemed like he
I
was
mean,
working on something down in that basement.
Yeah.
if you think about it, it's really secluded. You can really do anything up there.
Yeah. I
You know what I
wonder,
mean?
Yeah, especially back then.
I was gonna ask, why is this house still standing? Like, did his descendants owned it, right?
See, I thought his house. I thought his house burnt down.
Well, they
That's what I
tried
was
to burn
told.
it, and then
Like
it really only got like a little bit charred.
Yeah, it actually didn't burn.
Yeah, it wouldn't burn because
because I know
they,
for a long time
It
all
sounded
the
like the
kid,
whole crime scene was just still there.
like
yeah.
everyone thought there was a an old foundation up there, and everyone thought that was the house at one time. It changes. It depends who you talk to.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
interesting.
Some people say it's this house. Some people say it's the house at the bottom of the hill, and it's
I
crazy.
I think between the Google image search and the description given in Hex, like I'm pretty satisfied that that's the house. The
I
one
am
that we went
too.
to and saw.
Well, and I remember reading online that they opened a museum in
Hmm.
the house in like 2008 about the murder. And I so wish that I had known about this when I was 12.
And that's exactly the look that it has. I mean, especially anybody that's been through 2020 would know like what a little historical museum that's shuttered looks
Uh-huh.
like because there's so many everywhere. Like
Yeah.
so it has that look of having the, it's got plywood over it, painted over,
Hmm.
the door, like everything perfectly preserved, but the doors nailed shut,
Yeah.
all the windows covered, you know.
Yeah, I
Very
don't know. I
creepy.
just
Well, tell us more. Just talk about whatever you know, Dad. I want it to
talk about whatever
organically
I want. All right,
organically
I'll tell
flow out
you.
of you.
I think you guys are wrong about the aliens.
Oh, okay. Go on.
Listen, is that okay?
Oh, of course, of course.
You
Just
guys are talking
unexpected.
about the aliens saying, there are different people, different, like, whole different race, like a different worldly beings. I
Yeah.
think. Are you laughing at me?
No, I'm laughing at
I'm
Stella
over here
cracking her
squaring
neck in
up.
preparation
Oh
to
yeah,
square
I'm
up
ready to
with you.
fight.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm ready.
I think now this is going to go back to what you said, Stella. You said about how we have the technology for like time travel, or we do we say the photons. Is that what you said?
In regards to time travel,
Yeah.
uh, yeah. Well, I was arguing that we were able to adjust the speed of light.
Yes. So
And it's just an example of how you could do it in the small. Like I'm talking about, it's possible to do it with a few light photons, but not necessarily that we've been able to do it in a big way, but just that the small can represent the larger possibility.
so what I think is like all the aliens are us coming back. Now, let's say 1,000 years from now, we figure out the technology and we come back because we need something. Well, that's what I think. I don't think, I don't know. I mean, we're probably all going to be wrong. You know what I mean? The more I think about it, it's just like religion. We're going to get to heaven wherever we go, and it's going to be that crazy guy at the airport. who's like, hey, follow me. I know what I'm doing. And we're all going to be like, oh, we were so wrong.
I've got a question for you.
Yes.
Like, so what do you think happens? Like, okay, so it's people coming from the future to the past. Like, what do you think happens when they change something? Like, what happens
Uh,
after that?
uh, that's what I don't know. I don't understand why they're coming back unless, something in the future is wrong. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Let's say we've gotten to the point where our DNA is all messed up. So we're trying to get pieces that kind of fix what's messed up in the future, and take
Mm.
back with us.
So you think they're like farming for material?
Yeah, is what I think.
Makes sense.
have you heard the story of John Teeter, the time traveler? It's a really great story. This guy showed up on a bunch of really early internet forums in the early or the late 90s and claimed to be a time traveler from the year like
Oh, yeah, I remember
2034.
that guy.
Yeah, and he said he was coming back because there was a piece in this IBM early computer that was like the key to their, like, the world was dystopian, it was, and we needed that to fuel some of their technology or something. And he like did some descriptions. He either was like a physicist or knew what he was talking about. He said that he came back in a 1969 Stingray Corvette or something. Like it was like a real slick
Of
car.
course, yeah. Naturally.
But I'd believe it. I do think that it's really possible that aliens could be
I mean, it's just
us.
like that guy. This is before, even before any of our time. There was that guy who was
I think I
in
know who you're
Congress
talking about. Oh, okay.
after World War II. Did you read about that guy? I wish I could remember his name. But he
No.
was like their liaison for like special technology. And the rumor is that he was an alien or
Oh.
he was someone from the future helping our government. Because you remember right after World War II, we just went crazy with
Oh,
like,
like,
rockets,
yeah, an economic
all
boom
that
and
stuff. Supposedly this guy was like the guy who gave what was that, the rocket guy? He was a German guy.
oh, you're asking the wrong person. I have no idea. I know nothing about rocket history.
I'm thinking of the story of the man from Torred. Torred?
I don't know.
Uh, guy, 1950s? I'm sorry if I butcher all the details, but the gist of
No,
the
it's just
story is like he shows
yeah.
up in customs. Like, he shows up like in Germany customs or something, and he was like, his passport was real and it was from a country called Torred.
Oh, I remember
And
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
like he was just very confused and he ended up getting taken to, I think he was in Japan maybe, right, when this happened. Like he had just arrived there.
Hmm.
Um and they kept him in a hotel like for 2 days while they figured out what to do with him, and he just disappeared like out
Yeah.
of the hotel room that was under like guard.
I
Huh.
firmly believe that we
And he was just very
can.
confused. Sorry.
It's okay. I really do believe that we can time travel sometimes just by accident. I think that like the nature of our dimensions being so close and the line between them being so thin. There's a great story too of a French couple who vacation in the French countryside, and they get to this tiny little town and they stay at this really quaint B&B that's like, period living. They're like, "Oh, everyone here is acting like it's last century. This is so cool." And when they try to pay, like they won't take their modern money, like, or their credit card. They've never heard of it, and like everything is really weird and historical, and then they leave and they try to go back and the town doesn't exist and it's not there, and they just come to the conclusion that they must have traveled back into a time, I mean, it's so odd, but I believe it.
Yeah, we never know. That's the problem.
I don't think it's
Our
the
existence,
problem. I think
our
it's the
existence
beauty.
is so finite. We don't even bother with it.
Oh yeah, we're ants in the long span, but that makes me feel good about not being
Yeah, it's
productive
such a
every day.
relief. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, well, just remember, you're not important and your life ultimately doesn't matter.
That's something good to tell your kids.
I sent you that meme the other day, right? Of that dad who was like, it's like other kids are like, aliens don't exist, right? And the parents are like, yeah, you're right. And it was like me as a parent, it's like, they're already here. They're interdimensional. They're among us.
No, you never sent it to me.
Oh, I gotta find that meme. It was so funny.
We should put that on Instagram.
We should put that on our Instagram.
And people should really follow us on Instagram. It's at Everything Under the Moon podcast. And I like to post interesting, fun, and funny little things all the time. So join me so I don't feel lonely.
You don't feel lonely.
Yeah.
How many followers do you guys have now?
Like 18.
Nice.
And we love each and every single one of them.
Yeah, we're getting up there in the numbers.
It's an uphill climb, but I'm okay. Like, I love doing it, and I hope one day people start to notice. It seems like sometimes you'll do it for years before anything happens, and maybe nothing will ever happen.
Yeah.
But it is
You
fun.
just gotta get someone. You just gotta sort of feud with someone famous. That's what you gotta do.
Start dissing. That's why I do sometimes try to get Mel in trouble. I do this all the time. I'll be like, so are you going to come on record and state right now? And like, I'll just try to back her into like having to make just a definitive statement just to hope that it stirs up some shit.
So that I have to take the shit?
Well, yeah, because it's a good idea and we need to do it. I just don't want to do it myself.
Well, I already roasted David Paulides. So.
Yeah, we got him.
And Carol Rainey.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there'll be more to come.
But I don't want them to know because I actually do like both of them. I don't want them to get the idea that I don't.
You don't roast someone without liking them a little bit because you're admitting energy on them.
You're like, I've taken in all this content that you've released, and now this is what I think.
Yeah.
Just tell them you're wrong.
Love it. There's the confidence I learned.
Fake news.
Oh, well, Dad, do you have any other spooky stories you want to tell or cool memories of Pennsylvania Dutch stuff? I don't know.
I'll save my ghost stories for another episode.
Oh.
Well, the black dog thing, that is something I've heard, like I've read it many different places and in different collections of like spooky tales and from truck drivers over the years. I've heard stories about the black dog and that it's like a warning that your death is coming really soon. And it's like considered your last warning to pull over and go to bed for the night before something happens. And that they're often seen as a harbinger of disaster.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never seen one. Thank God.
I mean, if you had... See, this actually was kind of serendipitous. The other day on the way to work, I was listening to Graveyard Tales. They did an episode about dogs and dog omens. And they talked a little bit about hellhounds and the red dog myth. And the red dog myth goes way back to England and Ireland.
The red-eyed dog?
Yeah, the red-eyed dog,
I'm just
sorry.
just making
Yeah,
sure.
not Clifford,
Gotcha,
the big red
okay.
dog. the black dog with the red eyes.
Okay.
And they said that the black dog... What the fuck was I talking about? I lost it. I totally lost it when I
You're talking
laughed.
about Graveyard Tales?
Oh, well, yeah, I was watching and they were just talking about all these legends. And there were a bunch of black dogs interacting with people and they all meant different things. Like each culture has its own... like sometimes the black dog is an omen of death. Sometimes the black dog is an omen of, you're actually going to get home safe. Like if women and children see the black dog in Central American countries, this is a legend, I say with quotes. If a woman and child sees a black dog on their way home, it means that they will have a safe passage. And if a man sees them on his way home to his family, it means that he will find them at home safe. So they're a protector of women and children in some places.
Nice.
In other places, they are literally like the devil's hunting dogs coming to tear apart your flesh.
The reason why I said Mothman is because it is the basic, like, the basic description of Mothman is like big black creature with red eyes.
Mhm.
And so, like, with those two features, I feel like it's just always possible. And given their relative proximity to each other,
Mhm.
that they're part of the same Appalachian region.
Yeah. And
So,
uh is there any evidence that this could be a Sam Squanch?
ooh.
I mean, red eyes. Isn't glowing red eyes a Bigfoot thing, Dad?
Oh, they say it's the shine. They say like your eye shine on animals is usually white,
Ah.
but they say the eye shine on Bigfoots are red. I don't know
Oh.
why they say that, but that's what they say.
Okay, so they got the red eyes down. Because here's the thing, in that story, let's break it down a little bit. The guy on the snowmobile who's being chased, he only really gets a glimpse of this dog as it's chasing him, right? I mean, he's hauling ass away. So
Yes.
it's probably, I mean, it might be plausible he didn't see a dog. He could have seen a Mothman or Bigfoot or like something else. I don't know.
I wonder, like, if it is, so let's say it's a Bigfoot, then does it have nothing to do with Ray Meyer at all? Is it just a coincidence then? The activity?
I mean, I love your theory about ley lines because that would tie all this up in a neat little bow.
I'm
You
curious.
know,
I'm
that
curious if
maybe,
there's a cave system nearby. That would even be
oh, do you
like,
know of any caves, Dad?
In the holler, not that I know of. I know no, because all the mining they did down there was like strip mining back in the day.
yeah, we'd be talking about natural features anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, uh,
I can't think of any.
It would totally make sense if the veil was thin. That, like,
yeah.
a really strong ass witch would
Well, oh
be
yeah, I was
like,
gonna tie
I gotta
into,
go.
yes, oh
Like,
true, that he might have just found
he
strength in
felt a
that
call. Yeah.
place on the earth.
Maybe like his
We,
little basement laboratory, maybe it was just like a tap,
mm,
just like tap that magic well.
I like it.
He was just pulling up, hellfire and damnation with every bucket.
What do
I
you
mean, you
think?
never know because that was probably a hand dug basement. You never know what they found.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think I think that there leaves this possibility that there is some unspoken of gold and he didn't trust anybody enough to even write it down.
I wonder too, in all of the writing in the book of the investigation and the crime, they never, ever, ever say if they went in the basement. No one ever goes in the basement.
Exactly. It's like not talked about.
Yeah, like that's where they know he practiced and they just didn't go down there. And I want to know so bad what was down there.
The omission of it from the story is very glaring.
Yeah,
Sorry, I just smacked my microphone.
it's
It's a
okay.
weird sound. But like it's just its lack of discussion makes it very intriguing. No one says anything about it except that that might be where what they need is.
Yeah, I don't get it.
You could tell they were afraid of it.
Oh yeah.
They were terrified of it. It's like they didn't even want to acknowledge that it existed. They weren't willing. They would rather kill the man than go down in that basement and see if the book was there.
I Oh God, that's so true. What do you think, Dad? You think everyone is terrified of it? Well, you guess you said that, but
Oh, I don't know. I, I, I just think, I mean, it's been so long since I read the book. I mean, I told you the wrong story from the beginning about the owl.
no, but I love
Yeah.
that because that I mean it plays so well, and that's what I think about this legend in general is that he was just a witch with dark forces. And so, yeah, he could, he might have transformed into an owl and flew through that hollow as a disgruntled spirit. And then someone saw that, and that's where you got your story from. Like, we don't
It just,
know.
it just goes to show like how, you know, legends and myth are all passed down.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? One person sees one thing, and next thing you know, oh my God, it's It's a 20-foot snake or whatever.
It's a Bigfoot. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on in Raymeyer's Hollow, but we had an interesting experience. Did I tell you what happened to us while we were down there, Dad? I don't know if I've actually told you yet.
I don't
Uh,
think you did.
well, we went and saw the house and we walked around, and then at the end, we decided to leave an offering, kind of like a spiritual thing, of like some
Mm-hmm.
food and drink for Raymeyer's spirit, as like a, rest in peace type of offering.
Just some dates and some soda, if I
Yeah, it
remember
was dates
correctly.
and like grape soda, I think.
Oh
And
yeah, nothing but the best, man.
our rental car was parked about 100 yards away, and it was off, the doors were shut, everything was fine. And we say this like little mini prayer, and we look at each other, and I think I got like half a word out, or one of us got half a word out, but we were interrupted by this sound that very much sounded like a man screaming in the forest very far away.
Huh.
And it was very scary. And my immediate thought was that someone had turned up the radio in our rental car.
That's exactly what it sounded like too. It sounded like somebody was coming through and they quickly turned the radio up and then turned it off because it like
Yeah.
blasted them out. But there was no one around.
Phew. I'm freaking out. I don't like it right now. It's okay. Keep talking.
And those strange men that just like walked up to the bridge and watched us while we pulled out and away.
What was that?
Like after we went to the house, we went down to the unfinished bridge and we like went as far as we could and then we stopped by the bridge and the creek and we just hung out there and listened to the sounds of nature for a while, just kind of like soak it in. And then you saw something shiny in the forest and it was up a steep hill and you were like, I really, really have to go see what that is, but you have to watch me. I was like, oh no, this is point of separation right here.
I was very concerned about becoming a missing 411 person, and I
Yes.
apologize. I'm getting very stuffy right now.
Well, we're glad that you
But
decided to soldier through tonight, even though you were feeling the allergies.
well, so either I have allergies or some kid at work made me really sick, but uh yeah, sorry, ignore me. But yeah, I do remember those two guys now. It was like a dad and a younger guy, like a son maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we were like just getting in the car, and we took a bunch of rocks from the creek, so I'm pretty sure we were like putting our rocks in the back seat when they
Yeah.
pulled up. And we were like, "Oh, the bridge is closed." And they were like, "Oh, okay." And they like parked and then walked across the bridge, right? And just
I don't
walked down
even
the road.
remember these guys that you're talking about.
Are you serious?
I'm dead serious. The only people I remember running into were the two guys that walked up to the bridge
That's what I'm
that
saying.
looked like they were doing construction.
No, they weren't construction workers. They were just dudes, remember?
Oh, I assumed that they had something to do with the bridge and that they were coming to check on it.
Oh my gosh. It's so weird that I'm now questioning my remembrance
Yeah.
because I'm pretty sure it was like I'm pretty sure they had fishing poles or like binoculars or something.
I'm going to go with Burley Construction.
I vividly remember them being like tourists of some kind. What the
Maybe
heck?
they're doing
I'm
the same
sure.
thing you were.
Maybe, I don't know. But I know that we had a weird time down there, and I very much had this feeling the whole time of like just wanting to walk off into the forest and never come back, which is kind of like a fun
Something
adrenaline
I've,
feeling for me, but it
if you
is
know, you
terrifying.
know. That's all. If you know, you
Yeah,
know.
if you know that feeling, you know that feeling. Do you know that, Dad?
What's that?
Do you ever sometimes like you're in the woods and this like deep part inside of you is just like just walk off into the forest and never come back?
Just keep going deeper.
That's never happened to me.
All right, well, you don't get it, but that's fine.
Well, it's just like, if you know, you know. If you don't, you don't.
But anyway, I
I
guess
mean, I've
we're
been in a lot of
misremembering
places where
more
I
of the
never wanted to
story.
come out.
What'd you say?
I've been in a lot of places where it's that pretty you never want to leave.
It's a little bit like that, yeah.
Except it's like compelling. It's like
But
you have to.
it's like there's a magnet in the center of the earth, and I'm being drawn towards a magnet that someone keeps moving like I'm a cat. That's how it feels. Feels
I
like
mean,
my
it feels
goddess
like
is
being
pulling me through the
beckoned.
forest. But yeah, I kept looking up the creek at this one bend, And I remember just thinking how scenic that one bend in the creek looked. And I was like, Stella, let's just go up the creek more. And you said something to the effect of like, we can't leave our car. Like, we might never come back. Like, it's so spooky down there and it looks so thick and wild.
And the thing is, like you told me, you need to keep contact with me. Like you need to keep your eyes on me at all times.
Yeah.
Okay, so like I was trying to take it seriously too, but I kept finding that my mind was wandering off, and I was fighting so hard. Like I know
Yeah.
at least 3 times I turned my back on you for like 30 seconds,
Yeah.
and you didn't notice, thankfully. But
Well,
like
now I know. No,
yeah,
I'm
now you
kidding.
know, which but it didn't feel like it was my fault because I knew like I didn't want you to disappear and I didn't want anything to
Yeah.
happen to you and it was really important to me, yet I still couldn't focus on it.
Yeah. Well, it's a spooky place.
It's a spooky
What's
place.
Yeah, it's definitely. I don't know. I never really. Only time I ever spent down there was when I was stocking fish and fishing. Never really went down there on my own.
Yeah, it's just kind of like a black cloud that hangs over the whole place.
And it feels like you're going down a corkscrew kind of like it's getting twistier and darker and lower.
Well, it is.
Yeah, like it's like you're going yeah, nightmare
Terrifying.
corkscrew.
I think it's a little bit of both. I think of course, you know how the people in that state are. They try to cover everything up. So when it happened, they're like, "Oh yeah, we don't believe in that stuff." But yet,
Yeah.
every every Amish barn you drive by has a hex sign on it.
Yeah, we didn't.
What
I
does
was
that
gonna
look
mention
like?
that in the episode. It's a circular symbol with two kind of stylized, animated, not animated, but drawn 2D birds on them. And it's Pennsylvania Dutch like talisman basically to protect your farm from hexes.
I love it. It's amazing.
And people
I know
still
some
hang
of them
them.
have suns on, but I guess back in the day they actually believed them. They used to believe in it a long. I mean, the Amish probably still believe in it.
I'd
You
believe
never
it.
know with them.
Did you
How weird would it
ever?
be to have like an Amish witch?
I'd bet they exist.
You think so?
Well, for every, devout Amish woman, there's got to be a most non-devout Amish woman, right? Like the pendulum has to swing.
True.
Who knows?
People are complex and nuanced.
Yeah.
I forget sometimes.
Thank you so much for coming on, Dad. We're so happy to have
No
you for our
problem.
first interview. Uh, and here's to many more.
Say, hopefully, I'm the first of like many people to come on and give their little opinion on the trivial stuff in our life.
I love it. That's
Do you
exactly what
have
we're about.
Do you have any advice for us or the listeners or everybody before you go?
The only thing I can say is don't sweat the small stuff.
I
That's
love
all I
it.
can say.
It's good to remember.
Love it. Short and sweet.
I'm
Thanks,
not really
Dad.
that much of a deep thought guy.
Oh, that was so deep. Don't get yourself down. All right. I love you, Dad. I'll
Thanks,
text you.
Dad. We love you.
I love you girls too. I guess I'll wait to hear this air, and then I can play it for all my friends and say I'm famous.
Yeah, tell them that we have a huge following and this was like live streamed
And
all around the world.
especially Instagram. They should really join our Instagram.
I'm gonna get some headshots made up so I can start signing them and handing them out a while.
Yes,
Freaking
with our business card
fantastic.
attached.
Business cards coming soon.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Love you, Dad.
Love you, ladies.
Bye.
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 Wow, Ray Meyer's Hollow, Mel.
Oh, well, yeah. What about it?
I know
So,
that as I like if I get a chance to go through that area again or if I get to like trick you into taking me home to a family holiday,
love it.
I'd really like to stop by again. And I also will be curious and as we go on to investigate other phenomena in other areas, I'm always going to keep Ray Meyer's Hollow as a place in mind when I look at clusters of any of the kind of things that we like to look into and investigate. So I'll just be interested to find out if there's a cave system nearby. And if there's any other supernatural occurrences there of a different sort, because the
Yeah.
people that are interested in the murder and the hexery might be totally different than somebody that might have, had an experience they can't explain.
I think it's worth it going forward to try and contact park people and see if we can come back at night and do something with, set up recorders and see what we can find.
Oh,
Maybe we'll
right.
get Bigfoot evidence. Maybe we'll get ghost evidence. It would be so cool to go back at night.
I just remembered that the park does close after dark.
Yeah, at
And
dusk.
so one of the things that we talked about was getting special permission to possibly stay overnight for some sort of legitimate academic research purpose. It never hurts to ask.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's like one of those cool things that I would like to share with other people is if you have some kind of idea and maybe it's not strictly within the rules, like there's always the option to just ask. The worst that you'll be told is no. And anytime you go on a trip to a new place and you're out in the forest, stop by the ranger station and talk to those people in there because they have a lot of maps and information and like a whole plethora of knowledge and passion about the area and the environment and no one to share it with. So that can be the best way to get some firsthand information and maybe even go some places off the beaten path or find out about things that aren't directly in like the touristy areas that are usually pretty homogenized and kind of lame.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that Raymar's Hollow is kind of just like a park in terms of like land no one can touch. But we'll have to see. I know what park it is. So, what do you think in terms of what's going on there? I'll give my conclusions. I think what's going on at Raymeyer's Hollow could very well be a leftover of some of the dark magic he was practicing there. And I don't like to categorize magic as like light and dark usually because I don't think that duality is necessarily the way it works. But I do think that by taking money to curse other people, I do think that that is dark. And that doesn't bring like a light, happy energy. And I think he just laid down a ton of dark energy all over the place. And who knows what our brains do with that dark energy? Maybe they conjure up black dogs or Bigfoots.
I like to call that baneful magic.
Mm.
So that's what I would call that. Um, I just wonder, and what I feel like we've been building towards, like I'm trying to create this umbrella catch all conspiracy theory to end all conspiracy theories, like something that just ties in as many things as possible and maybe only makes sense to me. But I'm one of those people that really likes like post-its and yarn and thumbtacks on boards and like making those kind of connections. But I am inching closer and closer every day to a unified theory of UFOs, hauntings, and Bigfoot.
Have you read the theory or looked into the theory of everything?
I haven't.
It's basically that like ties everything together by describing different dimensions, I think, and how particles move between dimensions. That's like the best layman's explanation I can give, but that's not all of it. But I think you'd like it. I think that you could pull parts out of it.
Yeah, that I'll have to look into it and see what they say. And like,
We can do a show on
I
it.
just wonder, like, because there does seem to be a lot of overlap
Yeah.
in certain areas. And I think also it leads into, something that you're getting interested in right now, which is ley lines. And
Yeah.
maybe you'll have something for us about that
Yeah.
in the future someday.
Yes, maybe 2 weeks. Maybe
Yeah.
2 weeks, maybe 3.
And I'll be in Alaska then too.
Yeah, Stell's taking a 1 month amazing vacation to Alaska. And so we're going to try and get some shows in the bank to go out before she leaves. Or else we'll have to do them remote, which won't be too bad. But hopefully I'll be going too, but we'll see. I have a week to reset my classroom, so I got to get on it. I highly recommend that you go visit Raymeyer's Hollow. Respect the park rules. Don't stay after dark. Don't drive where you're not supposed to drive.
Leave no trace.
We did all of these things. But go visit the house. It's really cool. And there's some really cool vibes there and some cool wildlife They were pileated woodpeckers there, guys. They're my favorite. So yeah, highly recommend. And I want to say that I guess I do. Oh, I have more. Just kidding. I want to say that I think Hex by Arthur Lewis is missing a lot of information, particularly a lot of information about what the police found in Rehmeyer's home. You know, we never got what was in his basement. Lewis wrote this book in 1969. So I highly doubt that only, barely 40 years after this event, they were willing to give him all the information, right?
Absolutely.
Are they really not going to censor it?
It's a sore spot.
For sure.
Like this is something
it's still an open wound.
Yeah, and they absolutely wanted to shut this down and move it on like so quickly that the justice in the end is incredibly questionable. Really on all sides. Like I have to wonder if justice was served to anyone.
Yeah.
At any point,
Yeah, and I wonder if the real story will ever fully be remembered.
Yeah, they're
or
definitely.
if it was killed.
I mean, I would have every reason to think that they would just try to close the book on this as soon as possible. From the moment that they came in and saw it till getting them charged and out of there. Like, and I doubt they will ever admit to how inept the whole thing probably was. But I bet if it happened today, somebody would be making a Netflix documentary about it.
We should make a documentary about it.
Wow.
Mind blown.
And we'll put it to rest once and for all.
I just had an idea. I want to think that if York County had embraced this trial and let witchcraft be the center of the trial as it should have been and let the justice be carried out that way, I almost think that it would have had the effect they wanted in increasing tourism to York County. And I think by crushing this trial and subsequently like cracking down on witch doctors and, all of these like Pennsylvania Dutch special things that people were coming to their county to see because that's their tourism is Pennsylvania Dutch stuff. It seems counterintuitive. And I can see how a bunch of old white men in 1928 would have thought, absolutely not, and put the hammer down, and not considered the reality of it.
I feel like, though, while that kind of makes sense to us in a sort of capitalist lens, I think that it's just really not true to the Pennsylvania Dutch as a people. And I can't really speak to them. It's just about, it's just my opinion. But it seems to me that they're very insular, especially considering why they left in the first place. And so I just don't think they value that kind of stuff. Like, they just would rather their world not be looked into too closely and just kind of be allowed to live the way that they want to live because they were driven out of their country or left because they considered living there to be untenable.
Well, I don't know. We have to know to figure this out. We'd have to know the intentions of all of those people who censored the information. And I can't tell whether they wanted to do it because they, that's what they wanted. They didn't want people looking in the world. I think that's obviously what Lewis thinks, for sure. It's what he said. But I just want to believe that they really thought they would save their town's reputation no matter what. And I think that saving their reputation was detrimental to their future, just culturally. I mean, because I don't think it hurt anything. York is doing fine.
Yeah, and they definitely, they didn't want to be a curiosity.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure. Well, God, this is an amazing two-parter. Our first two-parter.
Yeah, that we actually, completed. I
yes. Yeah, I am so proud of us. So check out our Facebook group, Everything Under the Moon fan page. Check out our Patreon at EUTM podcast. Do you want to talk about YouTube?
Yeah, you can visit our channel on YouTube at Everything Under the Moon podcast. And if you have any ideas, of course, you can send us a comment there. Or you can email us at tellmelandstell@gmail.com. That's one L in Mel, two L's in Stell. tellmelandstell@gmail.com. You can send us an email and suggest ideas, share stories with us. reach out to us if you have never been on a podcast before and you think that you have something interesting to add.
Yeah.
We'll consider it. We'll think about it.
Are like, we're always around town together, and every time we meet a really chill person who's really cool, we give them a business card and we're like, hey, we would love to have just regular people on our show with good stories, because that's just what we are. And especially people who live in our town that we connect with. I think that's really special. So if you're in the central Kentucky area and you're down to chat with us, just send us an email. Please, no crazy people. I mean, I guess you can say that, but that's not going to stop the crazies. Anyway.
Yeah, don't worry. I'm open to crazy people.
Oh.
So I'll don't worry. I'll filter it before, just go ahead and err on the side of emailing it to me.
Love it.
And we'll see what we get.
And with that, thanks for listening to Everything Under the Moon
With Mel and Stell.
Love it.